2000?
Yeah, it was actually shot in 1996, and it took 4 long years to get it to a place where I could even show it. And then it took another, where are we now? Almost 30 years later. Jesus, almost 30 years later to finally get it to where I wanted it. It's a terrible film. But it's a film called 4 Letter Words. I made it when I was 24, and it's a very young movie, and it shows. But I finally did a restoration on it, so we'll be actually getting a release later this year on the Criterion Channel. It doesn't belong on the Criterion. But it's finally in a place where I'm like, okay, it's finally presentable. It was shot at 35, we shot it for $50,000 somehow, I don't know how it's possible. And it's very different from my other films, very, very different. I think very influenced by Linklater. I think Linklater was a major influence at that time with films like Slacker, and maybe a little bit of Jarmusch, but it doesn't live up to the heights of those guys in any way, shape, or form. But it did, you know, I cut my teeth. I made a first feature, and I think that is what I always recommend to young filmmakers. It's like, don't wait too long, you know. I have a friend who's 50, who's my age, and basically it's like, I'm still waiting for the studios to give me that $25 million budget that I need to make my first film. You've been waiting for 30 years, man. It's like, you gotta do it. And these days you have the tools to do it. You know, you can pull your phone out of your pocket and make a movie. So there's nothing stopping you. And I think that and whether your first film is good or bad, it doesn't matter. I think once you get going, it's like you want to make it, you want to keep going, you want to get better and better. And I think that 7 years after I made, 7 years, wow. Yeah, 7 years after I made 4 Letter Words, I made Takeout. And I think that was a considerable improvement. But but I needed to get that first one out of my system. And I highly suggest young filmmakers to do it in your 20s. And then to think about it.